Hello, cinephiles, and welcome to Silver Screen Sips, a podcast where two idiots talk about movies. And today we'll be discussing Karate Kid 2 with our special guest, actress, producer, and creator, Trish Rainone. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for joining us. And also, I was very close to saying baloney because you got it into my head. And I was like on the tip of my tongue. I was like, I better not say it.
Could be a new stage name. It's like I'm transforming into this higher vibration, self-aware Trish Baloney.
Yeah. Alter ego.
Yes.
Just a reminder that there are spoilers ahead for movies and TV shows that you may not have seen yet. So just know you've been warned. And before we begin, we're going to kind of just do a little interview with you, Trish, so the listeners get to know who you are.
Cool. Let's do it.
So can you tell us a little bit about like what you do, who you are, and what you've worked on so far?
Yeah. So I am an actor, writer, producer in Canada. I'm from a small town, but I spent almost a decade in Toronto, or Tirana, as locals call it. And that's a bit of a film hub in Canada. A lot of American shows are filmed there as well. So I co-created a comedy series called My Roommates and Escort, and that was 2 seasons. And in between, I did some a little bit of acting on other shows and stand-in actually on some shows. So I once stood in for Cate Blanchett. Yeah, so that was interesting, working on like bigger budget things and that I couldn't book myself as an actor, but just getting that chance to gain some experience on the bigger sets like that. And Star Trek, I did some regular extra work on Star Trek one summer. And I moved back to my hometown when the pandemic hit, and I produced some films up here. So we've done, I think, 5 feature films, a body of short films, and I am an actor in the show Pink is In. It's on its 3rd season. You can find it on Amazon Prime in the US or UK and on Bell 5 TV in Canada. I play like the tough girl in the prison. Yeah, top dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you said you live in a small town in Canada. What part of Canada exactly is it in?
Well, so it actually borders the US. So I'm in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and I border Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. And lately I've been, now that the weather is nice, the border is open, I've been going back and forth to do some shopping over there because your Walmart in the US is so much better than the one in Canada.
That is not at all. That's like the weirdest compliment, like for an American.
You have a really great Walmart.
That I would love for you to go to the Walmart down the road from my house, because I would say the complete opposite.
I feel like it's just like the grass is greener on the other side. So I go over there because I'm like, there's things here I don't see in Sioux, Canada. Yeah, so I think it's just fun exploring over there. And it's really cute. They have a cute downtown. So I've been TikToking it, and people are so now I've kind of made my TikTok this like satire about like stalking Brad Pitt and living on the border of Canada and Hollywood, California. And I pretend I'm going into Hollywood, California. And I get all sorts of comments being like, you don't know anything about geography. But it's been fun. So it's a lot of fun doing that. I like trolling people, I guess, on TikTok with my satire.
I mean, we do the same basically with this show. So
there we go.
On the same boat.
Good.
Now, Isaiah had a couple questions, I believe, too.
So you did mention that there was like a film hub in Canada. So they do kind of have like their own film industry, so to speak. So I guess my question was based around that of being a Canadian and doing film work in, I guess, both sides of the border. Is there any extreme differences that would happen that you've noticed between filming in Canada or doing stuff in America?
Besides the Walmarts?
Yes, besides the Walmarts.
That's a good question. I've been to film festivals in the States, but the only film set I've ever actually been on in the US was a Toby Keith music video, because I was dating a guy from LA who was working on the video. So I went to the set because it was filming in Las Vegas. So we went to Vegas together for the weekend. While he worked on it, I showed up on set, but it looked pretty much the same. And from talking with him, I guess, about his experiences on set, it was pretty much the same, except I remember him saying that Canadians were really insecure, that were like passive aggressive on set.
What?
Yeah, he was like, Canadians are so like passive aggressive on set, whereas on the American sets, we're just like straight to the point and we just say what we want.
Sounds very true. Very American of us.
So we're mean to your face.
Yeah.
You know what? That's kind of better to just be mean to someone's face.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. If it works.
Yeah. But then I guess you could insult people and that's a whole. Yeah. You want to keep the peace on set. So
that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, true.
That's the first
I feel like when you said passive aggressive, I just imagined like the DP being like telling the grips or like the lighting department, like, could you just maybe whatever you get the time, just can you just set up a light? No pressure, no worries. Just whenever you can set this light up for the next shot. like very like, please don't get upset.
And then we're there for like 23 hours and everyone gets overtime pay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess people are, I don't know. I feel like DPs are always,
I mean, DPs are their own, their own tier.
Yeah. They say what they want. We had, I have a really fun time on Pink is In. I mean, everyone just kind of is like, we've done 3 seasons and that's the show I've been working on lately. And we've gotten to know each other over the past 3 years. So I feel like everyone is very just straightforward and says what they want, but also polite because just out of a respect and like love for each other after working together for that long.
And everybody's like in sync with each other.
Yeah, you get comfortable and it's like, yay, we're back. So it's kind of like a nice little reunion every time we get to shoot together.
Yeah, I imagine. So I also kind of had a follow-up question to some of your work. So we were, stalking you and looking at all of your projects that you've worked on. And you've worked on like a lot of stuff. From like, I saw like you had a role in Umbrella Academy, and then also like you've been mentioning Pink is In is kind of your primary or like your biggest project that you partake in. What do you think, or what would you say has been like your favorite to work on, which I know is probably like the worst question to ask. So if that's too controversial, was there like any particular character maybe that you enjoyed playing the most or that you're currently playing that you never want to stop playing as?
I mean, the easiest ones to play are the ones where you just get killed and you have to lay there dead.
Yeah.
That's not an answer expected.
I've been dead in a lot of things for some reason. Like I have like 5 things where I've died and I'm like, I should just make a dead reel because that's really fun to just like lay there. Although I kind of screwed it up in one film. They wanted me to keep my eyes open and then someone was supposed to close my eyes with their fingers. And I couldn't help but blink. So yeah, I really, really screwed up that one. But no, I think I think Pink is In just because I'm playing the top dog in prison and she's like the tough girl that everyone listens to. Whereas in real life, I'm more of a people pleaser or more of I'm sure I piss people off, but they're not like, yes, anything for you, top dog. They're just kind of like, it's kind of like a fun character to do because I just walk differently than I would walk in real life and I'm more serious and the mannerisms are different. The way I carry myself as like I'm not the tough girl in real life. So I feel like it's just, it's a bit of a fun and it's goofy comedy. So I get to do that and like be scary, but not actually scary. It's like comedy, scary girl. So it's like pretty goofy. I don't know. I make the faces at my nephew and he laughs. He thinks it's funny. So it's a fun character to play.
That's awesome.
I have to ask, and when you play a dead body, do you have to hold your breath? Like that's always a question I've always had.
Yeah. When I can sense that the camera is near me and on me, I'm holding my breath and like trying to keep the eyes just still and open. It's
could not do
fun.
that. My lung capacity is at an all-time low. I don't know how long I could hold my breath for.
Well, the one where actually, I have that issue because I'm not, I don't know. I do singing lessons right now and I'm trying to like work on expanding my lung capacity and it's really hard. I get out of breath singing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not easy. And I'm not a great swimmer. So
yeah, swimming is supposed to help a lot.
Yeah.
With I think breathing and maintaining or controlling it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is kind of a rundown on who Trish is, everyone. So thank you for answering our questions.
Of course.
We probably will have more as we go. But we're going to jump into our first segment, which is Lewis. Lewis. Oh, wow. Sorry, I totally just called you Lewis just out of habit. That broke my heart a little bit. Isaiah, do you want to kick off our segment?
Yes, I'll channel my inner Lou.
Thank you.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, This Week in Hollywood. I hope I got it right.
That was pretty good.
Is it good?
That was pretty good. Yeah, that was good.
He's proud.
I kind
of want him to like send us an email every so often of him rating our intros.
Just approval. Yeah.
Like, that was approval. Episode season 10, episode 2 intro. 5 out of 5. The last one, 2 out of 5. You gotta pick it up.
Yeah, what the fuck was that last one, guys? Come on.
It wasn't very big Lou of you.
So Trish, I'm gonna give you kind of a rundown. Basically, Isaiah and I are gonna just read off a bunch of headlines of the latest news that happened kind of in Hollywood for this last week. But of course, you can always chime in with if you know any further details, or if you've never even heard about some of these headlines, and you can be like, "What?
What if I play dead and I just don't say anything for
the rest of the episode?
The rest of the podcast.
That's just the rest of the episode. We're like, "What do you think, Trish?" And it's just dead silence. I love it. Isaiah, take it away.
Well, the 10th installment of Fast and Furious franchise has officially hit the box office. Fast X is doing great overseas with a whopping $319 million globally. However, domestically, it is losing ground with only 67.5 on its opening weekend.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's small potatoes. Its global opening makes it number 2 debut of the year behind Universal's The Super Mario Brothers movie, which made $377 million.
Yeah, didn't you see it? Yeah, I was going to say, like, what did you think of it?
It's a Fast and Furious movie. That's all I can say.
Well, I saw your social media posts, and you didn't seem super happy about it, given your rating. Yeah. So I was wondering if it was just not as fast and furious as you were hoping.
It was, I think, the best way. Critical, Charlie, he did a review on it, and I think the way he explained it was best. The last few movies since like Fast 5 have had like these insane action set pieces and crazy stunts and stuff like that, and each of them are very distinct. They kind of have their own thing, and they're memorable in their own sense. Like if you think about Fast 5, you think of the vault scene. You think of Fast and Furious 7, you think of the,
of course,
I don't know, the many things that happen. I don't know. The moment that always pops in my head is when they drive a Lamborghini to two buildings, 2 skyscrapers, or when Dwayne The Rock Johnson flexes out of the cast when he broke his arm.
Yes.
But like this movie doesn't have any of those. It has like moments where it kind of like could have been if they like let the set piece go on for longer or something like that. But it's a lot of just moments. Like the way I like to think of it is trailer moments. And all those moments
you'd see for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, and all those moments happen to be in the trailer. So if you saw the trailer, you kind of saw the movie with a bunch of extra bits in between.
I see.
And that's kind of why I'm like, it's okay. Like, you go to see Fast and Furious because you want to see something like insane, so you get to see the insane parts, and then like the rest of it's kind of okay. And the fact of making 2 more after this, because it's supposed to be a 3-part finale, kind of wild. So let's hope they learn from their mistakes from this one.
Trish, have you seen any of these movies? Any of the Fast and Furious? Be honest.
I saw them years ago. I stopped watching, I think, when Paul Walker passed away.
Ah, yes.
Which one is that?
It's Fast 5.
Yeah.
Okay, because that seems to be when everyone says it got bad was after 5, so that makes sense, I guess.
No, it's Furious 6 because that's the one with the towers.
See, I haven't seen a single one, so
Yes.
I cannot.
I feel like they're all the same. Like that's how they look to me, except like you said, if there's like some kind of funny little cheeky moments, like The Rock busting out of a cast, things like that. Yeah, I feel like those movies need those cheeky, funny little bursts. And if they give it all away in the trailer, that's disappointing.
That's my gripe with a lot of trailers nowadays, especially like comedy or horror trailers.
Yeah.
They tend to use the best bits, whether it's like the best jump scare or like the best like funny bit, and they put it in the trailer, and then the rest of the movie just kind of sucks because you already expected the best part of the movie to happen.
Yeah, I feel like Megan was kind of like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen Megan yet, but I saw Evil Dead Rise, and that kind of wasn't good because all the good parts were in the trailer, in my opinion, at least.
I feel like that's Hollywood marketing. They're like, people are maybe going to be disappointed, but at that point, they've already paid. We've got the bums in the seats, and we've made millions of dollars. So give it all away in the trailer.
Yeah, I try to avoid trailers for the most part, and I'll try to lean more towards reading, like when you just Google the movie and it comes up with like that 2 or 3 sentence kind of summary of what the movie's about,
logline,
and just go based off that. Yeah, like a log line. And
that's the way to do it.
And just base it off of like, okay, that sounds like an interesting enough story. Now, for those listening who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, a log line is basically a summary of your movie into 1 to 2 sentences or 2 to 3 sentences. 3's kind of pushing it, but it's supposed to kind of sum up the beginning to the end in a nice conducted.
I don't think that's the word you're looking for.
Yeah, you could conduct it, like putting it together.
Yeah,
like a nice.
Yeah.
Writers are basically conductors. They're putting it all together.
Exactly.
It is hard to sum up a movie in like 1 or 2 sentences.
Think of it like an elevator pitch, basically. Yeah. You try to sell someone, because usually no one wants to hear your whole movie detail by detail. They want to hear like, okay, what's it about? Give me like 2 sentences before I lose interest.
Mm-hmm.
The best movies, like the ones that are like sleeper hits, are always the ones that have like really simple ones that sound boring, being like, oh, a father visits his cabin where his son died, and like it turns out it's like the best horror movie of the year.
Yeah,
those are the good ones. Anyways, we're gonna be on this one headline forever, so let's keep going. So this one's a little more of a somber headline. So actor Ray Stevenson passed away just recently on May 22nd. He was best known for his role as Volstagg in Thor, and was also set to be one of the main antagonists in the upcoming Star Wars series, Ahsoka. I'm not sure how they're going to work around that. I'm not sure if they got all the shots done or not. So no further details have been released at the moment for the cause of his death, but we just hope that he rests in peace.
Oh, that's so sad.
He was like in his 50s, so he was pretty young.
Yeah, poor guy.
But yeah, he was for those who are like, who's he going to be in Ahsoka? He was the one in the trailer that had the orange lightsaber that everyone was like, what? There's orange lightsabers now?
Mm-hmm.
Who's that guy?
Are they, I don't know if you know this, are they bringing back the Old Republic? Because orange lightsabers are part of the Old Republic, like way before Anakin and all that
I don't know.
stuff.
Maybe.
Where's Lou when I need him? He would know the answer to this.
Yeah, he would. Can we phone a friend?
Like, Lou, we miss you.
Yeah. I bet if I called him right now, he would pick up and just be like, what's up? And just ask him a question.
I wonder if they're going to use deep fake and a body double to finish the filming, or...
See, I think they have finished filming, because I feel like Ahsoka comes out pretty soon.
Oh, and you said you saw the trailer.
Yeah. So, yeah, it comes out in August. So they're definitely done with filming.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're going to do like a season 2, they're going to have to find a way to kind of probably write his character off, or like you said, do like a deep fake kind of situation, which those never really go well. So
yeah,
we'll see. Okay, Isaiah, why don't you bring the tone back up with this next headline, because it's great.
Okay, so actor Danny Trejo has pitched himself as a Mexican alternative to John Wick using AI to create an image of himself in the character's body. Trejo referred to his creation as Juan Wick, which is God tier. The actor suggested that he would be more than happy to see himself becoming the Mexican version of Reeves assassin. He commented on his Twitter post saying that they just wrong with the wrong Mexican hashtag Juan Wick.
I'm going to send those photos in here too so that you guys can see for yourself. They're very convincing AI photos. And of course, if anyone is on our Discord, you can see these photos for yourself as well.
It's weird because in some of the pictures, his jawline is exactly the same as Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's just like Danny Trejo, but in John Wick's body. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But I love that the actor himself posted it. That makes it the best part.
And maybe he's going to make it come to life because, you know, sometimes actors post things that later come true. Like Simu Liu posted about being a Marvel superhero years before it happened. And then it came true.
Chris Pratt with Jurassic World. He did something very similar.
Put it out there.
Yeah, he made a joke on the set of Parks and Rec about how he's gonna leave to go join in Jurassic Park. He's like, Steven Spielberg? Of course I'll be over there.
Oh,
little did he know.
Yeah.
Now, a John Wick, I have no interest in seeing, but Juan Wick, now you've got my attention. Anything with Danny Trejo, I will watch.
My friend David just did a movie with him, I believe, Wolf Mountain. I saw like an early screener of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, if you go to the IMDb, I think there is one called Wolf Mountain. He really liked working with him.
I'm Googling it right now.
Seems so like intense, but then like I'm sure he's like a dad of when you meet him.
Yeah.
Wolf Mountain, yes. Oh, it has the guy from Saw in it.
I don't know.
It has Saw himself, like the Dr. Saw. It has Matt, what's his last name? Matt Rife, the comedian. I didn't know he acted. Wow.
Everyone's an actor these days.
Yeah, this is a great cast. I'm like reading all the cast members. I'm just like, this is great. David Lipper, is that who you're referring to?
Yeah, so we did a movie together. We filmed at my mom's house in my hometown. It's called A Christmas Letter. It's like a feel-good family kind of comedy Christmas movie. Yeah, it's on Roku, CBC in Canada. A couple more this year. It's coming out on a couple more platforms this year.
It had Colin Mockery in it.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he was really nice. He's so sweet.
I've seen him on in Whose Line Is It Anyways? I
love
that
gosh.
Show. So
it
good.
It's like the longest running show ever.
It really is.
33 seasons or something. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. We keep getting side tangent. So Disney Plus and Hulu is set to remove several of their streaming titles, and it remains to be seen whether the series, films, and documentaries will be made available again on Disney Plus or Hulu in the future, or whether any of them may receive like physical releases down the line, because at the moment they only have streaming releases. But if you like any of the films, you might want to go rewatch them now while you still can. Some of the titles that are being removed are Willow, Turner and Hooch, Artemis Fowl, and many, many more. And you can find the whole list online simply by searching for like Disney Plus and Hulu removed titles. And there's like over 50 or so that are being removed. So just go check and make sure none of them are anything you like. Because I checked it and I was like, I'm okay with all of these being removed. I've never heard of half of them. But there's certain people out there that, like, I know Willow is actually an ongoing series at the moment. So it's interesting that they're removing that one. I guess that's because of all the cutbacks from Bob Iger, I'm assuming, since he became CEO.
He also canceled that Alien versus Predator anime. They were like creating it, and then they finished it, and then they said, okay, we're not releasing it though.
Oh wow.
So that's a big way.
And they also just canceled, or I don't know if cancel is the right word. They're no longer making that like neighborhood or whatever community development in Disney anymore. Like they were gonna do it, and I think he just said was like, nah, we're not gonna do that.
Oh, you mean the office complex?
No, not that. I think it was something else. I could be wrong. It might have been the office that I'm thinking of.
$1 million.
Oh, there's so many things that are just being like canceled or stopped or paused at this point that it's getting kind of hard to keep track.
Another Disney L.
Yeah.
That's so disappointing, especially if they already, like for the anime, if all these people already worked on it and it was
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
completed. Yeah.
Your stuff is getting sent in straight into a vault to never be seen for a tax write-off. That is such a
For a tax
terrible
write-off.
thing. That's what like
Yeah.
HBO did with all their stuff. They canceled a bunch of shows that have only been out for like a year or two, and a lot of them weren't like terrible shows. They just needed to get the money off, and I was like, really?
Wow.
Like Infinity Train, that was apparently a very good show. It had very good ratings.
I haven't heard of that one.
Bye bye. No one's ever seen that again.
Yeah.
Now, our next headline: the early reviews of the upcoming Indiana Jones 5: Dial of Destiny are slowly trickling in. They're not looking good. That's uh-oh.
Who could have saw that coming?
Indiana 5 has received the series' worst Rotten Tomato score. That's yikes, because Crystal Skull exists. With a low 52. Now we all know we can't really trust the reviews scores sometimes, and that we need to be, see it ourselves and give our own opinions and get a grasp of what's good or bad. But it doesn't look good if that's the case.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help going into it, because a lot of people, there are a lot of people out there that watch movies purely based off the Rotten Tomato scores or like the critic reviews. I try to avoid looking at any kind of critic scores and stuff. I just am like, that's their own take on the movie. I might go in and love this movie and they might hate it. So, and there's always, you have the critic score and then you have the audience score, and those are always usually complete opposites. So maybe it's good. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
There's a few movies that, like when it comes to comedies or horror movies, the critic score is always terrible. Like it's always terrible. And then, but the audience scores is really high because they're not here to watch like cinema. We're here to watch, someone's head get blown off with a chainsaw or something because you're watching Saw. Like that's kind of what it is. So I don't know. You really have to know the type of movies that Rotten Tomatoes you can trust their scores on.
Right.
Like an acquired taste.
This movie does come out in like a month. It's June 30th. So I guess everyone can kind of go watch it and see for themselves.
And then we'll have to do a season on it.
Yeah, we've been waiting. We haven't done an Indiana Jones season purely because we've been waiting for this one to come out. And we didn't want to do Indiana Jones and then this movie come out and we don't get to cover it. So that might be the next season. We'll see.
Yeah, I feel like I would go see it just out of curiosity with the chance that it could be good. If it's not good, then at least I know.
At least you know, yeah. At least you can say for yourself.
Yeah, I could be like, that wasn't good. Now I know. I don't want to sit at home and lose sleep over wondering.
Right. Now, lastly, Eddie Murphy has decided to take a swing at starring in MGM's new take on the Pink Panther. If he does make a deal with MGM, Murphy will be the iconic Inspector Clouseau, I think is how you say it.
Yes.
The Hedgehog filmmaker, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Just a hedgehog?
Yeah, sorry, I skipped over Sonic and I was like, the Hedgehog, and I was like, what the fuck is the Hedgehog? Sonic the Hedgehog filmmaker, Jeff Fowler, is directing from a script by Chris Bremner, and this new take on the Pink Panther format would utilize a blend of live action and CG to see the Inspector teaming up with the Panther for the first time.
Now, will we have to boycott them to make him not look so realistic like we did with Sonic originally?
Yes, I prefer the cartoon. Like in this instance, I would be good with literal like 2D cartoon, kind of like how they did with the Tom and Jerry movie. It was like borderline 2D, borderline 3D, and it still was close enough to like the old style of Tom and Jerry, but it was still fresh enough to like reach the younger audiences. I would be good with that. Let's not go super realistic, please, because that would be
that kind of ruins it. Yeah, especially when it's something vintage and it's the prequel.
Exactly. And like if you picture the Pink Panther, that's what you picture is like the like 2D cartoony looking simple.
Yes.
We'll see, I guess. But I mean, that could probably be a whole season its own. All the Pink Panther movies. Write it down, Isaiah.
Want to do it. You're gonna have more seasons than Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Oh my God! Yeah, we will. We'll be the longest running show. Now, that concludes This Week in Hollywood. You can find all of our sources cited on our Discord channel. So now that we're finally done with the headlines, we're going to move on to Big Lou's Big Brews, which obviously is not done by Lewis anymore. So I'm going to do this one since Isaiah took last week's. Of course, Lewis does provide us with all the information. So he's already planned out all of our drinks for us. So today's episode has a great drink. And then this drink also could be used for episode 1 or Karate, like the original Karate Kid movie. But it also applies to this one. It is called the Crane Kick cocktail. Now, Lewis found this on jollybartender.com. That's the name of the website that provided the drink and the recipe. So if you guys want to go check them out.
How Christmassy.
Please do. Yeah. Now, there's a little bit of a description here about the drink. It is an intense tiki recipe that mashes up smoky scotch, multi-whiskey, orange, and, I'm going to butcher this word, orgeat. I don't know, orgeat, and coconut notes in an adventure that nearly tells you a story with flavors. I imagine that the story goes something like this. Oh, this is so cheesy. You're climbing a volcanic mountain in Hawaii and can smell the burning ash in the air from a recent eruption. On the way up, you pick an orange. The wrong
movie. This is the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. On the way up, you pick an orange and a coconut to enjoy at the top. But on the way, you skin your knee and use a Band-Aid to mend the wound. What a bio. All right, so here's what's in the drink. We got 2 ounces of Yamazaki 12-year whiskey. Now, the specific brand you can get is Catoctin. I'm butchering that as well. Creek Colossal 10. Then you're going to get 1 teaspoon of, why did he pick like the hardest to pronounce words?
He knows you can't pronounce it.
Laphroaig 10-year scotch. 2 teaspoons of coconut liqueur. You can use Malibu Coconut Rum. That's cheap and easy to use. 1 ounce orange juice, 1 ounce lemon juice, a half an ounce of Fee Brothers, and 1 dash of Angostura bitters.
Fancy.
Yeah. You're going to combine all of your ingredients in a shaker and with 3 ice cubes, shake it and strain it into a Pilsner glass, which for those who don't know is just a tall beer glass, and fill it with crushed ice and then enjoy. You can garnish it with a flower if you would like. That's what this picture shows. And I will share this picture so that you can actually see for yourselves, because I sometimes tend to base my ratings purely off of looks, because that's a great way to go about life.
Yeah, you're so judgmental.
Yeah, always judge the book by the cover.
Yes.
Oh, that looks really good. I like the flower.
Yeah, I think the flower does add, and the little straw is kind of nice. That's why I'm like, the flower as a garnish doesn't really add to the flavor, but it adds to the atmosphere and the vibe of the drink. So
I've never thought of like aged whiskey with anything other than maybe 1 ice cube. I never would have thought that you could add like Malibu rum and orange juice or orange and ice. I thought you had to like really sip it alone.
See, I tend to just drink whiskey on the rocks or like a Manhattan or like an old fashioned, where it's like, this is a whiskey cocktail, but I've never thought of like especially mixing it with coconut. Coconut and whiskey for some reason just sounds like an
oxymoron. Yeah. I really want to try it now.
Yeah. I was going to say, what would you rate it like on a scale of 1 to 5? If you had to guess, like based off the ingredients?
I bet it's really good. I'm going to say like a 4.
That's a decent rating. I think I would be on the same page as you, just because I like whiskey, and a 12-year whiskey and a scotch together sounds pretty good. And Isaiah, you got Malibu rum in there. I know you're a rum fan.
Not Malibu. I hate coconut.
That's right. Damn it. So close. It's only 2 teaspoons though. That's like not even...
Yeah,
that's not a lot.
So,
yeah.
So I think everything else the bitters would probably take over that taste.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 too. I really would love to try the Yamazaki whiskey. I have 2 friends who always are raving about it, and I like whiskey. So
yeah, I'm curious because I've never tried Yamazaki 12-year whiskey, so I'm not sure like what that's supposed to taste like. But 10-year scotch, you can't go wrong with that. So. It does kind of sound like a take on a Manhattan, or not a Manhattan, an old fashioned, but with the addition of like 2 ingredients, like the Malibu rum.
Yeah.
And the scotch.
And then with all the like the tall glass and the ice and the flour, I feel like this is one of those things that you have on vacation outside in the sun at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then you stand up and you're like, why do I feel so good?
Yeah. And then you stand up and you're like, whoa, it's 6 p.m. What just happened?
Yeah. What just happened? Where am I? Get me some greasy popcorn. Let's text some exes.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. It does say that the reason why it's kind of called the crane kick too is because it's the presence of the Japanese whiskey, obviously. And then also the combination of all the different flavors and everything with the, since it's titled the crane kick, it's kind of like a kick in the drink with the 10-year scotch and the 12-year whiskey. So, but a little bit of sweet at the end to kind of mend the wound, as the description says.
To trick you into having like 3 of those and then waking up with the worst hangover of life.
Oh yeah. I could see myself having at least 2 of these.
Yeah.
I've never been hungover and I plan to keep it that way.
Oh, you've never been hungover?
No.
You lucky son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I've ran into like 2 people who I've always told them I've never been blackout drunk or been hungover. And they said, okay, we're going to change that. I'm like, no, I don't want to change that. Why would I do it to myself?
I can verify that you want to keep that streak going as long as you can.
Yeah.
That's a good streak.
Yeah, that's a great streak.
It took me, I'm going to say for legal reasons, 2 years of drinking before I like threw up from drinking. You know what I mean? Like there was like, I had a good streak going where I was clean. I was like, I'm so strong. I'd wake up and I would feel great. And then I hit 23 and I was like, wow, I just can't take it like as well as I used to.
Every passing year, hangovers get worse and the tolerance goes down.
I think you're right. I think every passing year you lose 1 shot.
Yeah.
I
think so.
At 21, you start at your best. And then from there on, it's just, you go like 1 to 2 shots down each year.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's all downhill.
Yeah. So much to look forward to. But yeah, that is Big Lou's Big Brews for today. Short, sweet, and simple. This is a pretty good one, honestly. I liked that one.
Yeah, that looks good. I would try making that.
Yeah. Isaiah, do you want to take just a brief second to talk about our sponsor?
Sponsor, yes. Talk about some sponsors. We'll be talking about drinks. And you know who also likes drinks? Shaker and Spoon. So we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor today. It's not Shaker and Spoon. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. It is.
It's a monthly subscription service that gives you bar quality recipes and ingredients designed by award-winning mixologists. Their latest box, Born to Rum Jamaica box.
Amazing.
What a name. Features amazing cocktail recipes for rum lovers, me included. Mm-hmm. If you'd like your very own subscription, just like we have, then head on over to shakerandspoon.com and use our promo code SIPS10 to get $10 off your first subscription. Again, that's SIPS10 for $10 off. Go drink some rum. And if it's not, go drink a Four Horsemen.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that they had updated to Born to Rum. I was like, that's an Isaiah box if I've ever heard one. Now, okay, I've got a good question for today for my segment. So basically, every episode, Trish, I will ask kind of like it's either usually like a fun question or it's kind of like a mini game or something that revolves around whatever we're talking about, whatever movie we're talking about. So today's question, or multiple, it's kind of a this or that kind of a question.
Okay.
So obviously with Karate Kid, I've noticed a particular theme, reoccurring theme, of 2 people fighting against each other.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
Yes. I don't know if you guys caught on to that one. I did.
No, did not. No.
So my question was, I kind of made a impromptu bracket, I guess you could say, of people fighting against each other. And I want to know who you would pick to win in a fight between these 2 people.
Ooh, okay.
So I'll let the arguing begin.
So is this like a choose your fighter thing?
Basically. So like we can all, who knows, we might all agree on all of these, which would be a miracle. But if we don't, then I want to hear your opinions or your reasonings, and then I'll decide who I think is the correct answer. So make sure your reasons are convincing for me.
Okay.
So we're going to convince you.
Yes, I am the judge.
She is the referee. You're Pat E. Johnson today.
Yes, I'm the ref. And you guys are the coaches in the corners. Here are your fighters.
This feels like Mortal Kombat, and it's funny you say that we're doing that because Mortal Kombat 1 is going to get re-released, and they just dropped the trailer like 2 days ago.
See, it all ties together.
It all comes together.
All right. So our first two fighters, who do you think would win? Luke Skywalker or Captain America?
Oh.
Interesting.
It
does adamantium, which is what Captain America's shield's made of.
Can
it deflect
a lightsaber? That is a good question.
It is the strongest metal on Earth, but is it strong enough to deflect?
But is it the strongest in the galaxy?
Yeah,
that's the real question.
Dun dun dun. I'm gonna say Luke Skywalker because I think a lightsaber is probably one of the. Isn't light energy like? Isn't everything light? Like light is at the center of like, isn't it like air, light? Like the sun is made of light. I'm going to say the sun is like light is the most powerful thing.
Okay, so far her reasoning doesn't make any sense.
Okay, well, okay. Listen to this. Okay, so a star is made of light, and you can see a star for like 1,000,000 years or millions of years after it's actually burnt out. So that's some pretty powerful.
That's pretty strong light.
I think what she's going for is energy.
Yeah, light is energy, whereas a shield is just like a block. It can try to block energy, but can you block energy? Energy never dies.
She's getting philosophical here, and my brain can't comprehend it. So who are you going for, Isaiah?
No, I have to agree.
Same person?
Yeah, no, I think Captain America would have a fighting chance if he can deflect the lightsaber with the shield. If he can't, which more than likely he can't, I'd say Luke Skywalker is definitely going to win. Okay. Well, you guys both kind of agree. And I also think Luke Skywalker would win just purely based off the fact that he can use the Force and has a lightsaber. And you made a very good point with the shield thing. I didn't even think about that. Like, can his shield even deflect it? There's got to be a video essay on YouTube explaining if he can or not. We're going to make it. We're about to find out right now.
Get a physics professor in on it and everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll be looking that up later, too. Going down the Reddit rabbit hole, the YouTube rabbit hole, just finding answers.
Oh, yeah. To keep now, let's keep on with our Star Wars theme here. Our next contenders are Yoda and Gandalf. Now that we watched Lord of the Rings, a wizard or a Jedi?
Go with Gandalf.
And what's your reasoning?
Well, I mean, if you look throughout history, beards, there's something about a beard. I think a beard has magical powers in itself. So,
you know what? I don't even care what Isaiah's reasoning is. That is the best answer ever.
Have you ever seen a guy with an awful jawline without a beard versus with a beard? Like, those things are magical.
You know who really looks bad without a beard?
Oh, yes, I do know. What's his name? The big, tall, sexy actor.
Wait, okay. I think we're thinking of different people. There's a lot of those guys. Yeah.
Jason
Momoa. He does look weird without a beard.
Yeah.
He does look weird. I was not going to say him, but that is a good contender. I was going to say Rhett from Rhett and Link without a beard. Have you ever seen him without a beard?
No.
Okay, I'm sending it. It just is wrong on so many. Here's a better photo, a before and after. They don't even look like the same person.
What is this? That's not the same person.
No, that's not the same person.
With the beard, he's a beautiful man. On the right, I'm sorry. I love you, Rhett, if you're listening. But never shave the beard.
Without a beard, he kind of looks like he's just going to show up on your date on his skateboard and ask you to pay. But not that that's a bad thing. Nothing against skateboards, but like with the beard, he looks like he's not going to ask you to borrow $20. He looks like he is a suave, good looking mofo. Wow.
That's the way to put it.
Night and day. Those are two different people. I still don't believe it. And the look with the beard, he would be good looking in any era with the beard.
In any era, yes. I agree.
Era. Like that could be someone from 500 years ago and they would be king.
Yeah. He does kind of look like he belongs in like a Greek empire.
Yeah.
Or like a Roman empire or something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On to the next fight. This is a very common and classic one that a lot of people have mentioned before. Batman or Iron Man?
Oh, two rich boys with daddy issues.
Gadgets. Oh, and I was going to say with gadgets, but that works too.
I'm going to say Iron Man.
And why would you say Iron Man?
Just, I feel like iron is very strong.
I love your way of thinking. It's very, very well thought out.
I'm
it's
really
good.
I'm just like logically thinking about like their name and nothing more. I'm not taking any plot points from the. I'm really just guessing. I'm being very lazy here.
It's okay, Isaiah. What do you think?
I think Batman will win. The man has a plan to destroy the entirety of the Justice League by himself if he needs to. And himself. He knows that he has the ability to destroy himself given to the Justice League. There's no way this man does not know how to stop the suit.
When he went against Superman, did he win? No.
Yes.
Right? He did win. Okay. That is a convincing point there because I was really leaning towards Iron Man.
I guess that counts for something.
Yeah. All right. I guess Batman wins that round. We have Darth Vader or Voldemort.
Darth Vader.
Okay. Isaiah, do you agree or disagree?
Again, the lightsaber. Can a lightsaber deflect?
That's the thing, because it's like they shoot out of the wands. What is it they're shooting? Is it light? Because if it's light and we're going with that logic, then it's light against light.
I don't know. It depends on how kyber crystal is pretty powerful.
But it's also like wands are far ranged.
Oh my God, this is the nerdiest conversation we've ever had.
I think specifically with Darth Vader and Voldemort, Darth Vader, since he's, a Sith and everything, he's not afraid to use a little dark force like lightning and stuff like that, or like force choke. So kind of leaning towards Vader because like all Voldemort does is make weird noises.
That's okay.
That was like all that whole season was just you making all of the Voldemort noises. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that one. That's my favorite
one. I think Darth Vader might win this one.
Yeah, I think your comment about like being willing to use some dark force, dark energy. I feel like that's like not the best way to win, but that's how it seems like people win sometimes.
I will say though, if Voldemort used like any curse on Darth Vader, he would immediately win.
Oh,
like it would just be a one and done.
Good point.
But he'd have to hit him with it, and I feel like Vader would just block it somehow with his lightsaber or something because he's a badass. And lastly, this is the one I hope you both say the right answer because there's only one true real answer to this.
So I'm gonna get it wrong.
Yeah, the pressure.
No, when you hear it, at least Isaiah, when you hear the answer, you'll know who I'm rooting for. Is it who's going to win? Wonder Woman or the Scarlet Witch, which is Wanda from WandaVision, in case you're both like, who?
I don't know what to say. I haven't watched enough of WandaVision to fully. I think I only saw the first episode.
Have you seen any of like the Avengers movies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's in like the last 2 or 3. She's showed up in Age of Ultron, and then was in like Endgame and stuff. She like almost killed Thanos, and then
I don't know. I would say we call it a witch with magical powers who literally bends reality versus who?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, powerful Amazonian, 6 foot tall. No, I have to say
Definitely the witch.
Yeah, I say the witch.
Good answer. Good answer. Anytime Elizabeth Olsen is one of the options, it's always going to be that for me. Because she's an amazing actress, and also her character is badass. Have either of you guys watched Love and Death with her in it?
No,
I haven't
it's on
seen
HBO.
It.
Very good. If you like true crime.
Oh, I love true crime. Yeah.
She plays a serial killer, or not a serial killer, a murderer.
Oh.
Very good. Based off a true story. Candy Montgomery. Very good.
Oh.
Highly recommend.
Okay.
Candy.
Not sponsored, but wish we were.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Dream.
Yeah. Right. So yes, that is my questions of the day. Thank you for partaking and amusing me for a little while. Isaiah.
Yes.
What kind of facts do you have for us today for this movie?
Not a lot.
Really?
Yes, there are facts.
Anything crazy as the last one?
No, I don't think anything stopping that.
That's fair.
I did find some very specific ones, which, interesting. So I'm hoping that the very specific and interesting things make up for the lack of amount, because it was very hard to find stuff for this, because it's just, I don't know, it was just hard.
I didn't know this movie existed until we picked this season. So
now we'll jump right into it. According to Martin Kove, the sensei of Cobra Kai, so in the beginning of the movie, he punches out 2 car windows, right? While trying to, fight Mr. Miyagi.
Yes.
The blood on his hands happened to be real because it was an accident, and he actually broke the windows with his fists.
Of course. Ooh. That's a lot of strength. That's actually impressive, though.
Yeah. So according to the thing, it says the blood on his hands when he broke the windows was real and was an on accident on set. There was someone saying that it might have been an accident prior to that, and they filmed it and just used the blood. I don't think so. That seems like stupid and dangerous, and I don't think they could have got away with that. To just be like, oh, your hands are bleeding? Quick, let's film this out real quick. Like, I don't see that.
Yeah.
So it would make more sense that his hands were actually bleeding from punching the car windows.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The movie was filmed on the island of Oahu in Hawaii.
Okay.
The location was chosen due to its similar climate and landscapes and large Okinawan population.
Interesting.
Because a lot of people from Okinawa are...
It's close. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, relatively close. Closer than any of the other states. So.
Really? Oh, really? Tell me more.
I learned geography.
So it was also chosen for its close proximity to the U.S. mainland.
See?
So to duplicate the Okinawan village, accurate replicas of 7 houses were constructed on the island. 3 acres of native crops were planted, and roughly 50 Okinawan locals were chosen to play extras.
That's cool.
This movie started production only 10 days after the release of Part 1, when realizing how much of a success it was. So literally, they released it, realized how hyped it was. Then 10 days later, they said, we got to make another one. Start production right now.
Do you know if they had a script already for a second one and they just decided to start production sooner? Or did they literally decide 10 days later, let's write a second script?
No, they did not have a script. However, the scene with Mr. Miyagi being attacked by Martin and shower scene, odd start to the movie. But yeah, those 2 scenes were actually written out in the script, and that was how the movie was going to end with those scenes. However, they never were filmed, and they decided, hey, we'll just use that, and that was their starting point. There is actually a big thing about how it was rumored that they actually did film those scenes and were planning a sequel all along, because when you're watching the movie, the scenes look and feel as if they were filmed part of the first movie and they just like moved it on to the second movie. They're very, very like feel this and look exactly the same. However, no, they only had it written in the script. They never actually filmed anything, despite what Legends does.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Elizabeth Shue, who played Allie in the first movie, is not in this one.
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a second? What happened to her?
Why. So,
okay.
So during the first movie, she famously took a break from her studies at Harvard University to make the original Karate Kid. And then since they were rushing into making the second movie, they're like, hey, you got to come back. And she's like, no, I'm going to go focus on my studies. I can't take another 2 years off of school. So
I mean, that's a good thing. I guess I can cross that out on my notes then, because I was like, what the fuck happened to Allie? Okay, that makes sense.
Now, the photo of Miyagi Shimpo Sensei, which is the picture that Miyagi points to on the wall that he was the sensei before him, is actually an 18th century martial arts master named Sakugawa Kanga, also known as Tode Sakugawa. Oh my God, Sakukagawa. Wow. Sorry, there's a lot of vowels in that name.
Yeah.
Tode Sakugawa. There we go. Okay, he was a teacher of Tode, the precursor to modern karate.
Wow.
Which all of it karate mostly originated in Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of variations of what is modern day karate. So there's a lot of variations of martial arts because Okinawa is an island very, very far from Japan. It's very far off the coast, really down south. A lot of different Asian countries would kind of go by, and it was because it was like a port. So a lot of people would come by. And so they learned a lot of their martial arts from different places. And then it became what it is today. History lesson.
Yeah. And I mean, I basic understanding kind of with like the roots of all different MMA kind of branches, because you have, judo and taekwondo, judo and Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all those things. And like, you'd be surprised that most of them don't originate from where you think,
So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's Brazilian. Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're separate. Jiu-Jitsu itself is a little bit different. That one I don't remember where that came from.
You're telling me Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu didn't originate in like Utah?
Yeah, right.
All right, and then for our final fact today, there was a free and nationwide screening of the movie on July 4th, 1986. It was their first showing, which helped this movie become the highest grossing movie of the entire franchise, making $115 million off of its $13 million budget. It literally, I don't know, that's like 1,000. It's like 1,000% profit.
That's like half of what Super Mario Brothers got globally.
Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
But that money
that's a good tactic though to use. And like 4th of July, that's such a like watching the Karate Kid on 4th of July. That's such a memory for some reason that I never had, but I wish I did.
That's a bold move too, though, to put it on that was the release. Cause I feel like, people could be out like on their boat or at a cottage or watching fireworks. Yeah.
Right. But hey, people hear free and they start running.
Yeah.
Freedom. Okay.
Thank you for your facts, Isaiah. You're right. Not a lot, but good ones.
Good ones. Anyone want $115 million?
Yeah, right. I think that's the way to go now, is just play your movie for free on 4th of July. All right. Well, I guess dive right into the actual movie and kind of what we thought, what we rated, our overall experience. And we'll start with you, Trish, since you're our guest.
Okay.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about like if you had any pros or cons about the movie, or like if you wanted to change anything, what would you change? Whatever comes to mind.
There is something I would change. So in the scene where he rescues, where our lead character, Daniel, rescues his girlfriend, why, like, the belt?
She's disappointed.
Like whipping down the power line with a belt. And like also having to go rescue, I know it's like a big test for his character and to see if he's this like, he can do it. He can go and rescue her. Yeah. What if he couldn't do it? And then she just dies up there on this
It
pole?
Is a really big challenge.
Right. And they're all just like standing back watching him do it. And it's like, this guy's a kid. And then he whips down the power line with his belt. And what about the people on the ground? Like, who's that going to hit? Yeah. But yeah, overall, I feel like it hits kind of all of the emotions. It deals with grief, with just finding your own strength and power, deals with love, loss, the kind of duality of there's going to be like great things in your life, but with that will come great challenges and opposition. So I think it kind of hits all of the feels. So in terms of like structure and story writing, I'd say, yeah, that's a good story. It hits all the things you want an audience to feel.
All the bullet points.
Yeah. But that one scene, I'm like, no.
If you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you put it at?
Say 4.
That is very generous.
Maybe 3.5.
Be honest. All right, 3.5 is not bad.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5. Yeah, you're right. Not a 4. It's, it's an 80s nostalgia. It's also hard to watch something from the 80s as if it's current, because it's not. But I love the 80s. So there's like also that like bonus points because it is 80s. And I'm like, oh, the 80s. But then there's also like, oh, the 80s. Yeah.
Like if you were to take that exact same movie and just make it today, it would do terrible. It would just die at the box office.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's the 80s, and that was kind of like the whole vibe of the 80s was like those quippy one-liners and like kind of dumb jokes, like it just works and it plays into that. And it's like, that's kind of why it does a little bit better than compared to if it were like even like the 90s to early 2000s, it would not do as well.
No. People were able to like, once we were able to Google when things didn't check out, like, let me find out the facts on that. No, that doesn't check out. Yeah, audiences definitely got the things that we would accept in the 80s. You don't accept when you can Google them and find out that they're wrong.
Thanks, Internet.
Yeah, thanks, Internet, for making us all more knowledgeable.
I hate having information.
Information sucks.
Isaiah, what did you think of it?
So I thought it was an odd choice to start the movie off with a 5-minute recap of the first movie. That was just weird. You could definitely get away with doing a recap, just like a voiceover, and get it done in like 30 seconds, which I think is lazy, but I think it's way more efficient than having 5 minutes of just playing random scenes from the first movie.
I have to try and wrap my mind around like if I grew up in that time frame, because like to me as a Gen Z, I can't comprehend doing a recap for a movie. But at that time, they didn't have streaming services, and it's also like 2 years apart. And I doubt they played it again in theaters before the other one came out. So maybe that's why they did a recap.
Yeah.
Just for those who like hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. And I mean, I don't know how big, like, because I know DVDs weren't a thing yet, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many people really had the opportunity to be able to watch it other than just that once in the theaters. So but 5 minutes is long. Yes, I will agree.
Mm-hmm.
I did think that scene right after, right, is the whole punching the windows scene. Why did nobody call the cops? I mean, the man, he committed like
this
4 assaults.
man.
Yeah, he's a grown man fighting a child. He committed like 4 assaults and 3 acts of vandalism in like 5 minutes. And nobody called the cops. So I was like, what the hell's going on?
I really think he's the real villain, honestly, like out of the whole franchise. Never mind Johnny, never mind Chosen or whatever. It's like it's
New Jersey.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just odd. I was like, this movie has a lot of suspension of disbelief, but it kind of like stretches it real thin, really fast. That's kind of one of the issues I had with it. Yeah, Allie gone. Bye. They had to write her out. It kind of makes. I was like, wow, okay. I know there was a reason as to her not being here. I just was hoping it was, and it's a good reason. So I was really hoping that they just had to like wing it. But the fact they kind of made her kind of like a jerk of being like, oh, she left me for a UCLA or something.
Yeah, I was like, she wouldn't do that.
And I was like,
I know Allie, she would never.
Yeah, it was probably a stab at the actor for being like, I'm going to finish school, but they didn't think about how the fans would be like, that's not what the character would do.
They were too mad.
Yeah.
Rude.
That's petty.
Petty.
I do think the soundtrack uses a lot of air instruments, and I think it's very distinct. It's very, very good. Patrick Tomaso from our last episode, a fellow Canadian, he had mentioned about how like if he heard the soundtrack outside of the movie, he would not realize it. I think this one has an opposite effect of you would probably notice it, be like, that sounds like a Karate Kid moment because of the way the air instruments work. There's also a lot more emotion in this movie. I was very surprised. Yeah. There's a lot of more and they discover more through Miyagi's backstory, and there's a lot more emotion attached to it rather than just teenage angst from the first
I did
movie.
enjoy that. I did enjoy kind of like diving more into his story, and like because he's an interesting character overall, and I think they did show a good amount of that in the first movie, but I mean I like Mr. Miyagi. What can I say?
Yeah, this was definitely his movie because they I wouldn't say they sidelined Daniel, but they definitely didn't. They kind of didn't put him in the front, and then they were like, "Oh, wait a minute, it's called the Karate Kid. We better give him something to do."
Not the Karate Master.
Yeah. So, and then they did dial back Daniel's charisma factor from the first movie. He was not the same. It was
his Riz was at an all-time low.
His Riz was not there. And a lot of the dialogue is sometimes really awkward and clunky. And I was like, that did not land well. Or you can tell that like they were kind of, there's a few scenes where, especially like when it's Daniel and Yuki running through like the city and stuff like that. There's a few moments where they have lines and you can tell they weren't given lines and they were just told to like ad-lib it, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure.
And definitely not sure what Sato was doing. It was definitely not legal, that's for sure. I don't know what country you're living in.
I was gonna say, I was like, is it just like okay to just kill someone to defend your honor there, or like what's going on? Because he's just like, we're gonna fight to the death. I was like, pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah, and then Chosen shows up and he's like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, the police? Hello?
Yeah, where is the law?
911.
Yeah, the plot was a little convoluted with that whole section there because it's just there's no not authority, but like there's no authority. There's just they are kind of doing whatever the hell they want, and it's kind of just they're left to defend themselves on their own. Also, it's just funny that all that happens, there's no authority, and it's on an army base.
Yeah.
Didn't even think of that.
So, and then also the ending was so bewildering. Like the movie was going, and then the second it hit the scene of like, oh well, Daniel's got to do something, so let's have him fight Chozen, and he just pops out of nowhere and he just slides in
beats the shit out of a girl. I was like, whoa,
in the face.
Whoa, way out of left field.
Yeah, it was so out of. I just was so flabbergasted. This is the only word I can think to use to describe it because it's so out of this nowhere and wild. But I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
surprisingly higher than I thought you would put.
Yeah, it had again like a 80s charm to it, and
Yep.
It's
that damn 80s charm, man.
The damn 80s charm will get us, especially after Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, that was like the kickoff for sure.
Yeah, now everything has been 80s.
Yeah, everything's like, ever since Stranger Things came out, there's been this huge wave of just nostalgia overall.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what era, they'll just try to get you with anything. Like they even started going towards like 90s and like even early 2000s is starting to trend now, like with fashion and stuff. And I don't get why, because it was awful.
It was awful. Like the low cut jeans.
And yeah, and then the like spaghetti, like tube tops. No thanks.
Ugh, no.
Yeah, my niece is 16, which she grew up in like late 2007, and she was telling me, because I'm 23, so her and I are not too super far apart in age, but like different. I wouldn't say different generations because we're technically both Gen Z, but I hate to admit that. But she's like, oh yeah, like the 2000s are coming back. I was like, why?
Leave it in the past, let it die.
Yeah, I'm okay with like the music coming back, because like I would kill to hear like some 90s rock come back in, some Creed. Anyways, I'm going to talk about the movie now. So overall, yeah, I think the only reason that it wasn't awful for me is because, of course, the 80s nostalgia kind of vibes kind of already automatically bump it up to like at least a 1.5, And I already kind of touched on like the logic behind a lot of it. Like, why are we just fighting to the death? How is that even allowed? Or like the window scene in the beginning where you're talking like he's committed like 4 crimes. Like it's just stuff like that where it's like, where are all the like cops or even just people with like common sense to be like, hey, that's not allowed. I really do think that this one felt kind of like a repetition of the first one, just with the like training montage where it's literally just like a copycat of, oh, you're going to do construction work or whatever.
Well,
and
wasn't
I'm
it
going
the
to train you through
same?
it.
Wasn't it the same director who directed the Rocky movies? And I feel like all the Rocky films are like slightly different, but still kind of like similar enough that they're like, this is what made money. Let's just stick to this and keep redoing it, but change it slightly. So I feel like that's what they did with this too. They're like, oh, we can make money. Let's make another one and be safe and not make it too different or we'll lose our audience.
Yeah. No, that's definitely apparent. I mean, it's not that it's a terrible thing, because like it's like, yeah, that is, I do like that, but it just didn't feel unique enough. Like they could have done it still, but maybe a little more in a like unique way. I don't know how they could have done it. I would have to think on that for a little bit.
Sequels are always just kind of like meh, because there's always that like calculated. The first time you make something, you have no idea what it's going to do. But with a sequel, you're like, okay, so this is what people liked. This is what they didn't like. We got the feedback on this. We could do this. We should add this. Now this person's gone, so let's rewrite it to fit that they're gone. So there's all these like unorganic thing or like overly calculated things that just, it's never the same as not that the first one was the best movie ever, but I don't know. Sequels are like a weird kind of like calculated. I feel like some of the original vision is gone because of like logistics or over analyzing what people want or what they like.
Oh, I agree.
Just kind of,
I think actually I have 2 big issues. One is something that happened in the last one. It still ends too early for me. Like there's just nothing, it just ends. Like you get the fight and that's how it ends. And it did it all over again. I was like, oh, we're doing that twice now? Okay.
Punch in the face, everyone cheers, cut to black.
Yeah. I didn't think they'd do it 2 times in a row. So that threw me for a loop. But my biggest issue, it's not even like a terrible one. It's just corny. And it's the honk thing.
Oh.
When he fights and he's like, live or die or whatever. He's like, life or death. And he's like, wrong. And then he just goes, honk. I was like, what the fuck? What was that? I mean, I get like it's supposed to tie into like earlier in the movie when like Miyagi does it, but it's just so, it hurt. It was very cringy for me. But then again, it's the 80s. So
yeah, it was all about the cringe. Expected.
Yeah. But overall, I'm tied between a 2 and a 2.5. I think I'm going to give it a 2.5 though, just because I do like that we kind of build on Miyagi's story and like his character. And yeah, I guess that's kind of the only reason. So I give it a 2.5. A little harsher, but oh well.
If you read some of the IMDb reviews, someone said they watched it 200 times.
Wow.
What? 200 times. How?
That's got to be an exaggeration, right?
I don't know. I believed them.
I originally thought people who say that were exaggerating. And then after having the same people show up to Avatar for like 3 months straight when Avatar came out, I was like, oh, they are true. When they say they've watched it 20 times, they mean it because I've seen the transaction. I've sold them the ticket 20 times.
Wow.
That is crazy.
At the movies, you would have regulars who go to the same movie over and over and over. And you notice like, oh, that person's back again.
Now, the worst part is when they go alone and they're going over and over again. But it's like if you're going with friends and maybe they're different friends every time, I could get behind that because I've seen a movie in theaters more than once because I went with 2 different groups of friends and I was like, yeah, it was a good movie. I'll see it again.
Not for Avatar. I would not watch that movie twice.
You mean you don't want to spend like 8 hours of your life in there?
No, especially since they're trying to do that. When is the 9-hour cut of Avatar coming to Disney Plus? That's my question. I want to see that.
That's one of the things being removed. Watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my overall rating. So, do you guys have anything else you want to add before I wrap up today's episode?
I think that's it. That's all I got.
No, I'm going to go Google the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And its strength and
Avatar reviews.
Yeah.
See if a lightsaber can go through Captain America's shield. That is such a good clickbaity title. That's got to exist.
It has to be out there.
We'll find it.
I feel like TikTok is a good place to look. TikTok always has what I'm looking for.
And it'll be quick and concise.
Yeah.
What's funny is that we've had this conversation. Now the algorithm is going to recommend you that exact same video after scrolling.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. That happens. Like as soon as you talk about something, my sister said, oh, I have to send you this video on blah, 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 blah. So I texted her later that night. I was like, oh yeah, send me that video. And then she didn't write me back for a little while. So I opened TikTok and I just started explaining the video out loud to my phone. And then the next video it showed me was the video. And then she sent it to me. And I'm like, I already saw it because I talked about it to my phone and it showed me what I was looking for.
I hate that.
That's scary. That's scary.
It's very scary.
Very, very.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you so much, Trish, for joining us as well.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, we had it is our pleasure to have you here. Do you want to take a second, just kind of like plug yourself, let the listeners know where to find you and whatnot?
Sure. You can find me on the social medias, Trish Rainone. That's not baloney, but it rhymes with baloney, and it's spelled Rain1, Rainone. Or you can find me on TikTok, Trish Like Stratus, where I document my Canada-US border delusional life, where I think I'm going to meet Brad Pitt in Hollywood. And I compare Walmart items. Yes, I will one day.
I fully believe you will.
I will have coffee with Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt, if you're listening, I'm still trying to find a time for our coffee date. If you want to get back to me on when that would be a good time, let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, the best way to contact her is to share this episode everywhere with all of your Hollywood friends.
All of your exes, all of your agents, all of the producers, George Clooney, Send it to everyone, Brad. We're counting on you.
I think he heard us.
I think so.
George.
Yeah.
It's going to start showing Brad Pitt
everywhere. Oh my God.
And the same will happen to him. He'll start getting all of your, silver screen sips in his feed, and he'll be like,
he'll see Pink is in and be like, ooh.
Yeah. He'll be like, I need to be on these shows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yes, please go check out her work and go follow her on Instagram and wherever else you can find her, I guess. Well, just not in real life. That's creepy. And while you're at it, be sure to share us with your friends and family. And follow us on our Instagram so you can get the latest updates on our show. And also be sure to email us with any movie suggestions you'd like us to watch and review for our listeners' episodes at silverscreensips@gmail.com. And we will see you in next week's episode with Karate Kid Part 3. I have no idea where they're going to go with this, but we'll see. Ooh. Also, you know what I realized, Trish?
What?
You're our first female guest.
What?
So congrats. You get the title of first female guest. I know. It's so hard to find women that are just in the industry.
Well, if you want more females, Pink is in. We're a women's prison. There's a lot of women in the prison. I can send some of those actors your way, or writers or directors.
Yes. If you want to email me some people who'd be interested.
I'm going to let them know. If anyone comes on, I'm going to let them know that you introduced them as women in prison.
Yeah.
I met them in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again and congrats on the title.
Thank you.
Congrats getting out of prison.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to going back.